We're going to tackle a huge question today. Where did those billion-dollar world-changing ideas really come from? It's a question that can feel super intimidating, like you've got to be some kind of special genius to even play the game. But what if I told you the real story is, well, it's a lot more accessible than that?
We all know the cartoon, right? A character's totally stumped, and then pop! A little light bulb flashes on above their head, and bam, problem solved. It's a classic image, for sure, but it's also a total myth. The real story behind groundbreaking innovation is way more interesting, and honestly, a lot more useful than just sitting around waiting for a flash of inspiration to strike. You see, this story we tell ourselves, this eureka myth, it isn't just a harmless little tale. It kind of suggests that creativity is this passive thing, something that just happens to a few lucky people. But that belief isn't just wrong, it might actually be the very thing holding you back from your own big breakthrough. So first things first, let's completely dismantle this myth of the lone genius. And to do that, we're going to pull back the curtain on the real stories behind some of history's most famous innovators. And what you're going to see is a totally different pattern. Turns out, innovation has always been a team sport. This is the perfect place to start. I mean, come on. Isaac Newton, the guy whose legendary aha moment was supposedly sparked by a falling apple. Even he straight up admitted that his work was built on the discoveries of everyone who came before him. He wasn't working in some isolated bubble, he was just part of a long, ongoing conversation. Now, check this out, because this completely reframes someone like Thomas Edison. We think of him as the inventor of the light bulb, end of story. But the reality? He was improving on work that already existed. He ran a whole lab full of researchers, his muckers, he called them, and he even described himself as more of a sponge than an inventor. He wasn't a lone genius, he was a master collaborator and improver. And if you want to see this idea on a massive scale, just look at this number. When we think of the moon landing, we picture Neil Armstrong, but to get him there, it took a network of 500,000 people, scientists, engineers, technicians, you name it. It was one of the biggest team efforts in human history, not the work of just one guy. Okay, so if brilliant ideas don't just zap into the mind of a lone genius, where do they come from? Well, the secret is in a really powerful and maybe kind of counterintuitive strategy. It's all about looking at what's already out there. And that brings us to the core of it all, copying with a twist. Now hold on. This is not about plagiarism, it's not about stealing, it's about smart adaptation. It's the art of taking a concept that you know works and giving it a whole new life, maybe for a new audience, in a new industry, or just with one killer improvement. And as you're about to see, this is how some of the biggest companies on the planet were built. Just think about the iPod's iconic click wheel. That was not an Apple invention. The basic idea existed on a Hewlett-Packard computer almost 20 years earlier. So what was Apple's twist? They applied that interface to a little music player, wrapped it in this beautiful design, and plugged it into the whole iTunes ecosystem. They didn't invent the part, they perfected the whole package. Here's another amazing example. James Dyson didn't invent some brand new way to create suction. He looked at these huge 150-year-old machines used in sawmills to suck up dust and thought, hey, what if I could make that small enough to fit in a closet? He took a proven, powerful idea from one world and completely blew up another. And the story of GoPro is just so simple, it's brilliant. The founder just wanted to take pictures while he was out surfing. His first version was literally a disposable camera that he strapped to his wrist. The borrowed idea was just a camera on a strap. The billion-dollar twist was making a super durable, high-quality version of that, and in the process, creating a whole new market we didn't even know we needed. See the pattern here? All of these stories show us that the initial idea is often the easy part. The real genius and the real money comes from the execution, the adaptation, the improvement. So let's get practical. Let's look at a toolkit that can help you focus on turning these so-called unoriginal ideas into very real value. Think of these 5 strategies as your roadmap. So instead of hunting for that one magic idea, you could focus on building systems. Or, the old saying, during a gold rush, sell pickaxes. You can provide the essential tools for a booming industry. You could take one thing you're really good at and spin it into multiple products. Or use your fresh perspective as an outsider to shake things up. And of course, always be building your network, because like we said, innovation is social. But look, having a great toolkit isn't quite enough. To really see and grab these opportunities, you've got to cultivate the right mindset. It really comes down to building daily habits that turn your brain into an idea connecting machine.
This right here, this is the crucial shift in your thinking. Most people are consumers. They just passively scroll, watch, and absorb, all while waiting for inspiration to magically appear. But innovators, they are creators. They are constantly documenting their thoughts, sharing their process, and, this is key, they prioritize action, even if it's imperfect, over waiting for that perfect moment. Adopting even just a few of these habits can be a total game changer. Start questioning why things are done the way they are. Instead of just pointing out problems, ask, how might we fix this? Go out of your way to get opinions from people who think differently than you do. And this is a big one. Give yourself permission to try things and to fail, because that's where all the learning happens. So, here's the bottom line. You can stop waiting. Seriously, you do not need to sit under a tree or wait for a lightning bolt of genius to fall out of the sky. That is not how this works. And just letting go of that pressure is a huge first step. Instead, real, impactful innovation is a process. It's about paying close attention to the world around you, seeing what's working and what's broken. It's about strategically adapting those existing ideas. And finally, it's about having the guts to experiment, to put your own unique spin on something, and then share it with the world. And that brings us to the real takeaway. The power isn't in some myth about inspiration. It's in your ability to see, to connect the dots, and to act. So this leaves us with one final, and I think really empowering question that puts the ball right in your court. What will you copy, twist, and create?